It's a murder case still open to this very day. Colonel Albert Jennings Fountain and his 8-year-old son Henry disappeared near White Sands on their way home to Mesilla more than 100 years ago. Evidence points to murder. His great-great-granddaughter, Tansy Bird, still meets people with connections to the supposed murder.
One of my friends started crying. She said, "I did not realize you were part of Colonel Fountain's group." And I said, "Well, why are you crying?" And she said, "You know who I am?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "How can you stand me?"
Tansy reads a lot of history books, but she also had her great-grandmother and great-aunts to hear about Colonel Fountain.
They've told me about how it happened and how the colonel's wife passed out when they told her that the colonel and Henry were gone.
Tansy thinks the colonel's wife, Mariana, knew he was in danger, and that's why Mariana suggested taking his son.
And Mariana, his wife, had convinced him that if he took little Henry, nobody would ever hurt a child. That was like today, you think about the most heinous crime that a man or a woman could perform. If you did it on a child, it's worse.
Worse, even in the Wild West. Intentionally killing a child was unheard of at the time.
And he said, "Don't worry about what ifs. I have my gun. I am a good shot. I'm sure that we'll be able to get back in time." And they were supposed to be in no later than January the 31st, midnight. When they didn't come, Mariana knew it had happened.
A lot of evidence points to a group of men who were known enemies of the colonel. Oliver Lee, Jim Gilliland, and William McNew were among the accused. Before his disappearance, Colonel Fountain brought theater and the arts to Mesilla. He built a community theater on the square and brought in performers. At the Fountain Theater in the very same square, two Las Cruces filmmakers bring the story of Fountain back to life. Matt Wilson and Sean Pilcher are behind the movie Among the Dust of Thieves. Matt, the movie's cinematographer, says he brought up the idea with Sean after hearing a group of investors wanted to make a movie about Fountain.
We were sitting actually out in the swimming pool on the rooftop of this hotel, and we were just kind of swimming around, and I had gotten rumors of this Fountain story idea, so we kind of talked about it. Had some ideas, and right from there we started reading the books on the plane.
Well, it took a lot of work for Matt and Sean to get their movie from their computer screens to the big screen.
And the closer you get, it seems like the more exponential the hours add on as you try to finalize the sound exports and stuff like that.
Fast forward 3 years and the movie opens at the Fountain Theater. Tom Hutchinson owns the Fountain Theater today and is one of the film's executive producers.
Everywhere you go in the history books, you bump into Colonel Fountain. And so I generated a lot of self-interest for what he did and accomplished during some pretty challenging times for. We weren't quite a state yet, we were a territory.
In this exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, Matt and Sean filmed for about 7 days in New Mexico, outside Santa Fe.
Lock it up, go for picture.
In Truth or Consequences.
Action.
And for a day in Las Cruces. A big part of the story was left out.
We wrote the son out of it. He's not in the movie because this was really a story about Fountain.
And the short film runs just over 40 minutes. Producers say they'd like to see a longer feature or even a series down the road. Meanwhile, Tansy still meets people with family ties to the case. It always makes her stop and think. It happened the other day in a class.
It was an eye-opener for me that here I was helping someone whose ancestor had helped to murder a little boy and his dad.
In the Mesilla Valley, Sloan Patton, KRWG News.